Hello everybody, I am Hannah from Coffee&Creme and today I'm going to be doing a foundation review on the Dermacol Film Studio makeup cover. This is what the packaging looks like. You've probably seen this all over the internet. It's been very hyped. Everyone's been reviewing it. It says it's waterproof, it's got SPF 30, it's hypoallergenic, it's meant to be the most full coverage foundation in the world, and it's meant to cover tattoos. So I thought I'd give it a go. You can get this from a number of places, but be aware there are a lot of fakes on the internet, so I would suggest buying directly from the company itself or from a really good seller, and just make sure you know what you're buying. I bought this in shade 211 because it's just swatches on the website and I have no idea what the shades were, so I had to just sort of guess, which is very difficult. Trying to colour match foundation is ridiculous. What I'm going to do is I'm going to apply this foundation. I'm going to use a brush on one side and a beauty blender on the other, and then I'm going to see how it lasts throughout the evening. I would have done it in the day, but if this foundation is absolutely too dark or too light, I'd rather do it in the evening when I'm not going anywhere. And I'm just going to get straight into it. So first of all, I'm just going to apply some primer water because I want to use this foundation like I would do on a normal day. I want to set it with powder, I want to begin it with primer, I want all my stuff to go on top of it. I don't just want to put the foundation on and then, I want to judge it properly. So this is just £2 PS primer water from Primark. I'm just going to give this a quick spritz all over my face. I do have my eyebrows and eye makeup on from today from work, but that's just my day's makeup. I haven't got any face makeup on at all. Primer is on. You do have to actually pop the seal on these with the little lid, but because I have used this to test for Dan Tattoo, it obviously is open, but you will get yours sealed. And it doesn't smell of anything as well, which is a good sign. I haven't tried this on my face yet, so I'm going to put it on my left, just move my mirror over, my left side of my face. And I'm just going to take this much, not that much product, although probably too much. I'm just going to dot it on my face, and I'm going to do this side with a brush. So I'm just going to do some swirls and some circular blending motions. Colour actually isn't bad at all. Okay, so the texture of it isn't too bad at the moment. It's going on quite nicely. That was a really small layer, so I'm just gonna put on a little bit more. I mean, I have seen a couple of videos where people put on too much, so I didn't want to start off the video by putting on tons of this stuff. So I've just put on just about the same amount I did before, just quite a small amount. It's covering up the redness nicely. You can't really see on my face, but I do have a lot of acne, scarring and redness. Obviously scars are, damn near impossible to cover, but the actual discoloration isn't doing too badly. It's blending out nicely. It doesn't actually feel too thick on the skin, which I'm surprised because I was expecting it. Like when I was patting it onto Dan's Tattoo, it was a different story. This feels like a lot nicer. I think it's making my face look pretty flawless actually. I mean, I'm just going to put a little bit on my eyelids. As you can see, my eyelids are like purple because I've got a lot of veins there, so I'm literally just putting on, well, that's probably going to be too much. I'm just going to dab a little bit on my eyelids, see if it'll cover my purple veins. And I'll put the remainder that I've got still left on my finger just on my under eye. I'd say for like not even a full pump of foundation. I mean, normally when I'd put on like a regular foundation, I'd use a full pump of it, and I haven't even used half a pump on this really, and you can see it's covering up my dark circles really well. I mean, look at this side, this is much more noticeable. Next, I'm going to apply the other side with my beauty blender and see how that fares. Beauty blender time, so I'm going to just apply the same sort of amount. This beauty blender has been dampened. Well, actually, that seems to have blended out quite nicely. I want to say inside with the beauty blender may have distributed it a little bit more thinly. So I'm going to do a little bit more. I'm glad I've been using this so sparingly and so carefully, because I was really afraid I was going to cake it on too much, and I want it to be wearable. Like, I want to review this foundation because I want to be able to wear it on a daily basis. Well, not maybe on a daily basis, but I want to be able to wear it, and if it's too cakey, then it's not going to happen. I will say it actually is harder to blend out with a beauty blender than it is with a brush, which is surprising to me, because normally a beauty blender is my quick fix. You know, a beauty blender does not take as long, but for some reason with this product it does take a little bit longer than my other foundations to blend out, which is fine. Oh my god, what is my hair doing? Like a friggin' peacock. I think I've missed my nose a little bit, so I'm just gonna put a touch on there. I have to say, as far as applying this foundation goes, it's going on really nicely. It doesn't feel cakey, and I don't feel like it looks cakey. I feel like it looks full coverage. Like, now that I've got it on both sides of my face, it looks full coverage without being cakey. I mean, I still feel like I'm having to cover up certain blemishes on my skin. I'm just gonna try blending that with my finger. When I'm applying it with my finger, it seems to be a lot more full than when I'm applying it with a beauty blender. Could be because the beauty blender is soaking up a little bit of the product. Like, look at that, like when I apply it with my finger, it is a lot more full coverage. But then it could run the risk of just being able to wipe it off. It may not blend properly into the skin. We'll see how well it fares once I've set it, but I'm liking it so far. I mean, actually, this side of my face doesn't feel that tacky anymore. It feels like it's drying quite nicely. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go away. I'm going to set the rest of my face and put on what I normally would, bronzer, contour, blush, and I will come back. And then after that, I'll do a few check-ins throughout the evening to see how it lasts. Okay, so it's 8:30. As you can see, my eye makeup is melting away, but that's okay. Put that on this morning. My face makeup is doing actually absolutely fine. It seems to have worn out a little bit on my cheek area, but that could be because I've been on the phone. That might be the reason. It is transferring, like when I gave Dan a hug before, it did transfer a bit onto him, even though I've set it with powder. But that doesn't really surprise me. I mean, most heavy foundations will transfer. But it's not creasing, it's not settling into any lines. And I think it still looks decent, so I will check in at around 10 o'clock at the end of the day to see how it is then. But so far, I'm really liking it. Okay, so it's 10:15 and the foundation is pretty much, I mean, come off. I've been just chilling watching a film. I haven't really been sweating that much, but it transfers so much that no matter how much I set it, I'm gonna set it with powder, and you know, not just setting powder, I did like contour and blush and stuff over the top. Got a little bit of shine coming here in my forehead area, above my eyebrows, the end of my nose, and my, well, basically my T-zone area. I mean, it has come off a considerable amount, so considering it's only been a few hours, it doesn't seem to be lasting that long. So just finished my makeup, just literally put mascara on for eyes, brows, but I mostly focused on the face. I set it with pressed powder today rather than translucent, and I'm actually loving the finish of it today. It's really nice. It's much more full coverage, applying it with your fingers rather than a beauty blender or a brush. And setting it with pressed powder is just a nice touch on top. My hair's a mess and I'm wearing the same top as yesterday because I slept in it. So I'm gonna get dressed, brush my hair and get ready for work. But this is what my face is looking like at 20 to 8 in the morning. And I will check in a bit later. So it's 20 to 1, 10 to 1 in the afternoon. It's been about 5 hours since I applied my foundation. As you can see, it's really coming away in certain areas, like here on my cheek, on my chin, It's collecting a little bit on my nose there. I mean, it looks alright overall, but it is, you know, and I really powdered it today. I really made sure I pressed it into my skin, and it's still coming away. When I took my glasses off, it like collected all underneath my eyes. Okay overall, but a bit disappointed that it is coming away so soon. You know, I've had foundations last a lot longer than this, so I'm really upset that it doesn't look the same. I don't know, maybe it's just me being overdramatic, but it's just these blemishes coming out. I really set them. They shouldn't be reappearing really, but this is it. So I'll check in again at around 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock tonight, and I will give my final verdict. Okay, so it's 5 o'clock and I'm home from work, and this foundation is sliding. I mean, I feel like if I just, yeah, if I do that, it just comes off on my finger. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. It's incredibly, it's just come off, you know, all here, on my chin, around my nose, just everywhere. It's just sliding off my face. And I set this so well. I set it like I would set any of my other foundations, and it's just, it's not lasting. I mean, okay, so it's 8:30 in the evening. I've been wearing this foundation all day, and as you can see, it's virtually completely come off. I mean, throughout the day, I've literally felt myself like itching my head like this and coming away and having the foundation on my finger. I mean, I powdered this foundation down to the max. I literally did my normal powder routine, and with my other foundations, it made sure my foundation lasted all day and pretty much all night. But this is just, it's rubbed off, it's collected in places like on my nose. It's really oily here, especially my forehead, you know, and my chin, and it's just basically all come off. So I'm gonna talk about my final verdict. So my final verdict of this foundation is this. Do I think it can cover up tattoos? Well, I've seen on people's Instagrams and I've seen on Dermacol's official Instagram that it's covered tattoos brilliantly. When I tried to cover down a tattoo, I just couldn't get it to cover very well. Like in the Instagram photo, it does show that it does cover the majority of it, but that took about 10 layers. I don't know whether it was the way I was applying it. I was applying it just by patting it with my fingers, and it just didn't cover very much for me. Like, I feel like if you were to go into a photo shoot and you wanted them covered up, but you also knew there was going to be retouching, then it would be fine. Like, I feel like if you did like 10 layers of it, then, I mean, when I was setting it with powder, it was all coming off because it was so thick and sort of on top of the skin, so I was trying my hardest to get the best coverage. The powder was just taking it off. So I feel like if you just put it on there and then you didn't touch anything, and then you had your photo taken and then you had it retouched a little bit, then it would cover. But as I said, it could just be the way I was doing it. I mean, there obviously is a technique for tattoo coverage, which I'm not aware of, but just as far as my experience goes, I wouldn't advise using it for covering tattoos. Also, even if it's just for the fact it doesn't last. I mean, you can see on my face, it's all basically come off. I may as well have no makeup on whatsoever, which doesn't normally happen to me. So that's what I think of it for that. The pros of this foundation are it's lightweight. It doesn't feel heavy on the skin. When it initially goes on, flawless, gorgeous. I love how it goes on. I like how products go over the top of it, but it doesn't last long. I mean, I have this full tube now, and the times I will use it are, for instance, if I went for a meal out with my family and I was only going out for a couple of hours, brilliant, I'd put that on. If I was going for a photo shoot, and again, it wasn't like a high intensity photo shoot, I wasn't changing a million outfits, it was just a quick couple of photos, or even just Instagram photos, I'd wear it because it looks great when you put it on. But for a day out, for work, you know, for any activity which requires being outside for long periods of time, I wouldn't advise it because it just didn't last long enough for me. I have combination skin, so my skin tends to be dry around the outside and then very oily in the T-zone area. So I need a foundation that's gonna last, and I need something that's gonna not budge as well. Like, it's just, I was literally just doing this and it was just coming off on my hands, which just doesn't normally happen. Normally, once I put my powder on, that's it, it's not budging. This stuff is, like when I took my glasses off before, I've got them top of my head now, I had like big lines here and I was just like, oh God, you know. I think it's okay. It's nice when you initially put it on. It's great when you initially put it on. Does it last? Not in my opinion. It may last on other people's skin types. Maybe if you have dry skin all over, it might last a lot longer. It could just be because I have very oily skin. But that's my opinion on it. Would I repurchase it? Probably not. Simply because there are better foundations out there for me that are full coverage and that will last. For instance, Estee Lauder's Double Wear. I mean, Estee Lauder Double Wear. Amazing. That stuff is so full coverage. It does feel heavier on the skin than this one does. I'll give Dermacol that. Dermacol does feel lighter on the skin than any other full coverage foundation I've tried. However, Double Wear lasts, and that's what's important to me. So thank you very much for watching this review. Comment down below if you've tried Dermacol before or if you're going to give it a go, and also what full coverage foundation you prefer to use. Really loud bird. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more content from me and my sister. Like this video if you enjoyed it. And that's sad that, isn't it? I said we because normally I've got Holly next to me. I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!